Okay, and now we're actually not on mute.
Oh.
So we'll have to do it all over again.
That's okay.
Hello and welcome to Propulsion Lab at JCON Europe, coming to you live from Cologne. Yeah, it's the end of third day. We're all tired, so I apologize for that. Hanno is with me, and he mentioned that, Hanno, you mentioned that you are excited about eliminating waste in our job. And this is obviously very relevant to Build Propulsion Lab because eliminating waste is one of the tenets of developer productivity engineering. But what it really means, we don't have waste in like classical terms of the word. We don't have trash, but we still have waste to eliminate.
Right, I think every minute that you're not spending developing your application, working on code, is waste in my opinion. I think we want to work on our code as much as possible, at least. That's my opinion.
Now, this is very true. That's exactly what we mean. But it also has other implications, except of making us more productive. It relates to sustainability in a wider view of things.
Right. So sustainability, at least in my country, the Netherlands, is very much an ongoing debate. Right. Politicians are talking about it. All kinds of people are talking about it, and I think one of the most important things to do when you think about becoming more sustainable is reduce the energy consumption that you already have. We can build windmills, right, and solar panels, but that will only increase the energy consumption that we need, or at least in my opinion. So if we start by reducing, then we can make a real impact for the future.
Yeah, but obviously reducing energy consumption has to be done in eliminating waste and not limiting production or
Right.
creativity.
Right.
And it's still, we can save a lot by eliminating what needs to be eliminated, like what?
So there are all kinds of things you can do, right? On a very small scale, you could choose to use a dark theme because your monitor is using less energy to view you the darker colors. On the other hand, I'm also quite a fan of dark themes, so right, that's a win. But you could also think about reducing the CPU cycles that you use, or reducing CPU cycles that your build process uses, for example. And a third thing you can do is limiting your bandwidth usage, because every gigabyte of bandwidth emits carbon, right? And the less data you download, the less data you upload, the less carbon you emit into the atmosphere.
And sometimes we want to upload and download data, nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's just pure waste.
Right. So on a very small scale, you can think like, I need to download an attachment for my email, and then you download it, and your OS tells you it's the 7th copy you've downloaded already. And I'm like, oh, I should think of something to prevent that. On a much larger scale, you could work with your development team to review your automatic builds and see what happens there in terms of downloading and uploading, and how you can eliminate needless downloads, for example.
So, for example, you can use cache,
Right.
which will eliminate uploads and downloads, but also will improve the build speed and performance. So not only you will behave in a sustainable manner, you will actually will have much better developer experience by doing that.
That's a very important point that you're making right now, because it's all fine and dandy when I try to eliminate waste because I'm passionate about sustainability. Not everyone is passionate about it, and that's okay. I mean, everyone gets their own opinions and values, right? But if you can transform your passion for sustainability into this will not only save carbon emission, but also save time, or this will save some money, then you can join forces with other people.
Yep, absolutely. So in the end of the day, we're talking about sustainability, which not hampers creativity or productivity,
Right.
but actually supports it by working smarter generally, right? By using better tools for the job, by implying techniques like build caching for saving the energy and eventually time and energy and bandwidth, and eventually saving carbon emissions and what's not. So what else can we do?
So one thing that we did at the current project that I work is we're using Azure DevOps, Azure pipelines, and we use the build agents that Azure provides from the cloud. And if you don't change any configuration there, if you're using, for example, a Gradle wrapper to build your project, it will download the Gradle wrapper every time it uses a new agent, right? So we just looked into the Azure documentation and thought, how can we cache this binary that we need for every build? And we configured it in such a way that the binary is locally available on every build agent, so it doesn't have to do a download each time, and save some bandwidth there, and also some time in the build process.
Yeah, of course. Again, we save bandwidth, but we also save time. Generally speaking, you mentioned Azure DevOps. When we talk about the trade-off between cloud deployments and local deployments,
right,
what would be more sustainable?
That's an interesting question. I mean, if you would run all your applications on premise and then put large solar panels on top of the building and make sure that that energy gets funneled into the on-premise machines, that would be very sustainable. But of course, you would have to make sure that all those components work together then. And not everyone will have that option. You might also need the flexibility of the cloud. So on the other hand, if you run your stuff on a cloud platform, you should be able to redistribute your executables to a place where a lot of carbon-free energy is available, right? So for example, everyone will know the term nightly builds, right? We're building a very large build process at night because we don't want to wait for the outcome.
Yep.
But if you run that in an area where the sun isn't shining at that moment, it's a very high carbon energy flow at that moment. So it would make sense to run that nightly build in an Australia region, for example, or South America region. Or scrap the whole idea of nightly builds whatsoever and just run them during lunchtime. I mean,
yeah, no, that's something that I don't think a lot of people actually thought about. But also, the cloud provides elasticity,
right,
which it's very hard to implement on premise.
Right.
So maybe when you optimize on your maximum load, you will have a lot of energy wasted on idle spinning servers.
Right.
So from this perspective, the cloud might give us sustainability benefits.
Yeah, so a lot of exciting work is being done here. So I read about a Dutch startup called Leaf Cloud that distributes its data centers over different parts of cities in the Netherlands, and they combine their data centers with public buildings like swimming pools, hotels, hospitals, and all the heat waste that their devices generate are reused by the public building. So to heat up the swimming pool water, for example.
So on top of the benefits that you can get from bringing capacity on demand,
Right.
you will also rely on the redistribution that the cloud does for extra heat emissions and what's not. But it sounds to me that if you approach the selection of the cloud with this goal in mind, and then do it in such a way that you can trust the cloud provider to do the right thing, this is the more sustainable way to go.
I think so too, yeah.
Excellent. All right. So today we learned, and thank you very much, Hanno.
Yeah, no problem.
Again, I think that's it's something that not a lot of us have it on our minds all the time, and hopefully this conversation will help in next time we are thinking about those kind of things that we will take those aspects into consideration as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
And you stay tuned for more interviews and Build Propulsion Lab at JCON Europe live from Cologne, Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baruch.
Bye-bye.